welcome back for another video. Today I'm going to teach you how to hand knit one of those mermaid tail blankets. You've probably seen them around, like if you pull it up to your waist, it has like a fin on the end, so it kind of looks like you're a mermaid. It kind of wraps around your legs a little bit. Real popular with young kids, but I've seen adults, who like them as well. But the idea actually came from a viewer who saw my chunky knit blanket video, which uses a technique that you don't need knitting needles or anything like that. You just use your hands and knit it on a table or a flat surface. And so she messaged me and said, "Hey, do you think you could come up with a way to use that same technique, but make a mermaid tail?" And I was like, that's a great idea. And yes, I definitely think I could figure out how to do that. So I was super excited about it, and I went to work just figuring out how to do it, learning some basic increasing and decreasing stitches to make, the mermaid tail shape, without using knitting needles. So I figured out how to do it. I went through 2 different brands of yarn, though, that I didn't like. So I finally landed on this brand, though, that I really, really love. I think I'm going to make some of those knit blankets out of it because this yarn is really awesome. It's by Premier Yarns, and it's called Couture Jazz. And this color is lavender gray. A really, really pretty purple color, and I'm super excited for you to see how it turns out for a mermaid tail blanket. But I'll tell you everything you need to know. You don't need anything other than yarn, a flat surface to work on, in your hands. So let's get started. Okay, so to get started, you're just going to do a normal sort of cast on, just making a loop in the yarn, and then we're just going to chain, and we're going to do 16 chains. And this size, I didn't mention it in the intro, but this is for like, I'm calling it like preschool, so like a toddler, older toddler, 4, 5, 6 years old probably. And if you wanted to make one for someone who's older, you would just add more to this initial chain, like maybe like 22 or something like that, and then just sort of adapt accordingly to that. But then we're going to go through, and you skip that first stitch there and just start your knitting right into that stitch. You just stick your hand under, or fingers under, grab the yarn up through, and make a loop, and try to make everything nice and uniform so it all looks the same. And I do fast forward a lot in this video for your sake, because a lot of it is all the same, and you can get the idea. So we're just knitting all the way across, and then you skip that first knot, or that first loop, and then go into the next one, just like that. And then just continue your normal knitting, just pulling those loops through each one, and get to the end, and then come back the other direction, also just knitting. And then after we do this row is when we're going to get into the decreasing. So we're going to decrease. I'm going to teach you how to decrease on this upcoming row. So for this one, you're going to just do a normal knit in your first 2 stitches. And then stitch number 3 and number 4, we're going to combine together and pull the yarn through the back of the 2 stitches. And the camera cuts off here, but you'll get a better view of this when I go back and do it again. But you just grab those 2 stitches, and then you feed the yarn back behind it. So I'm just doing, on this row, you continue doing normal stitches until you get to the last 4 stitches, and then you're going to combine. So there's the last. There's 4 stitches left, and then we're going to take these 2, turn it so that one's facing us, and tuck that yarn back behind it, and that's how we decrease. We're taking 2 stitches and turning them into 1, so that decreases the size. And then do a normal stitch in your last 2. And then we're going to, the last one there, and then we're going to turn and just do regular stitches all the way back down.
So we're finishing up that that stitching row there. Don't forget to include that last loop or it'll mess up the whole thing. And then as we go back, we're going to knit our first 2 stitches just like we did on our last row when we were going this direction. So knit the first 2, and then the next 2 stitches you're going to combine together once again to decrease the size. This one and this one, combine them together, turn the one on your left so it faces you, and tuck the yarn underneath to create that loop like that. And then you're just going to knit, 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 keep knitting till you get to your last 4 stitches. You're going to combine those 2 and then knit the last 2. Just like we did before. Last 4 stitches, grab the 2, turn it so it faces you, and tuck the yarn behind just like that. And then regular stitches in the last 2. So once you finish those last 2 stitches, then I was running out of yarn. So here is how you connect the yarn in. I got a lot of questions about this on my last video, the knit blanket tutorial. You simply just tie a knot nice and tight and as kind of discreet and small as you can, and then just sort of adjust it to where, see, I'm adjusting the loops just so I can tuck that knot back behind and I won't see it on the front of the work. And then you just knit all the way down. So you knit all the way down, and then we're going to do the same thing we did the 2 other times. We're going to knit our first 2 stitches. Then we're going to combine those 2. Then we're going to knit all the way down till we get to the last 4, combine the 2, and then regular knit the last 2. You went all the way down, and now for this one going back, we're going to do what we've been doing going the other direction. So we're going to knit our first 2, then we're going to combine the next 2 stitches. So take them together. The one on your right is now going to face you when you turn it, and tuck the yarn behind the stitches and bring up another loop, and then continue down just like we've been doing until you get to your last 4, and then knit the 2 together just like that, and then do regular knit on the last 2 loops. And then we're going to repeat the same steps until you have 6 loops basically on your work. So for me, you'll see that I believe this is the last row that I need to do the decreasing on. But if you did 22 stitches or some other number, then just keep decreasing in that manner until you have 6 loops in front of you, and then we'll start the increasing part and into the body of the piece. So yeah, I just counted and there are 6. So then we're just going to do regular knit stitches across all 6 of those. And that completes our decreasing. So you can see we made a nice shape there by using those fun stitches. It's a little bit tricky, I know, definitely a little bit harder than the chunky knit blankets that I taught you guys how to do, but but worth it because the end result is awesome. So now we're going to start the increasing, which is also a little tricky. So you pull up the loop next to the one. I'll show you again right there. See that loop? Stick it up through there. You're creating another stitch. So you take the loop in your hand and then that little bar that goes across, you stick it under and pull it up and you're creating more loops, and that's how we're increasing. So there's the loop. See the little bar that goes across, lift it, make a loop in that one just like that. And the last one, do the same thing, pull up the bar, stick it through, there you go, just like that. Then we're just going to go through and knit all of those stitches, and don't leave any of them out. Make sure you get all of them. Each stitch should have 2 stitches now instead of just 1, so make sure you get all of them in there. And then when we go back, we're going to increase every other stitch. So we're going to start with this one. We're going to increase it by starting a new loop there. And then we're not going to do it on this one. We're just going to do a regular knit. And then on the next one, see, then we're going to increase. Next one, we're not going to increase. We're just going to do a regular knit stitch. Next one, increase, skip, and so on like that. So that was the end of the increasing, and now we're just going to go through and knit stitch every single loop. So make sure you don't miss any. Pull all the little loop stitches out and make sure that you just knit all of them. And the hard part is done now. So now you're just going to continue doing the rows, just knitting simple back and forth until you reach the desired length. So for me that was 26 inches. For you that might be something different, but that's what's perfect for my little 4-year-old, and so just keep on going. Okay, so here we are at the very end. I've gotten up to 26 inches just like I wanted to, so I'm going to show you guys how to finish off. So what you're going to do is grab 2 stitches and feed the yarn through. Sorry, this angle isn't great, but it gets better here in a second. Grab 2 stitches in your hand and then feed the yarn through, and that's how we finish it off so it doesn't come unraveled or anything. So you just feed it through just like that all the way down. And then make sure you have plenty of tail. Tie it off, tuck it in, weave in the ends, cut it, and then go through and cut all the places where you joined your yarn together. Make sure all the knots are super tight. Weave in the tail that you started with in the very beginning. And then this is an optional part, but I really think it adds something special to it. You can, so get a piece of the yarn and you can just kind of weave in like a little, or sew like a little pocket near the fin for the child's feet. And so it's better not to grab just 1 string of the yarn to go through, but grabbing like 2 to stick the yarn through is more secure. And I really only needed a few stitches up to make this. See, I'm kind of grabbing like 2 so it's nice and sturdy to make this work. And then I just, once it got, it was about the way that I wanted it, I thought that was enough. And then I just tied a knot. Really simple, and it adds something special. My daughter likes that she can stick her feet Oh, I guess I decided to add another one. But my daughter likes that she can stick her feet in this little pocket here. It's kind of special. So just tie it in a knot. Nice and tight so it doesn't come undone. But you don't want it to change the shape of your mermaid tail too much. So just tie off the ends. And that is all.